who gets the best of you? Who's going to get the best of you? There's a reality that a lot of us have experienced, and we wouldn't say it this way. We don't frame it this way, but this is the reality of the situation. For a lot of us, our addictions got the best of us. Our addictions got the best of us. What parts of ourselves we put into our secret lives, some of us not so secret lives, what we put into it got the best of us. And then we don't conceptualize it this way, but there's this sense that like multiple entities in our life, multiple things in our life sometimes have gotten the best of us. But rarely, if you're hanging out with me, rarely can we say, actually, our wives have gotten the best of us. Not even our family. I'm not talking about our family at large. I'm talking about the person who changed your last name. Some of y'all didn't change your last name. You know what I mean. The person who said, I do, or I will, or whatever your vow said. Hi, y'all. Sorry for the interruption. Hey, if these videos are helpful to you, I hope that you'll like and subscribe. And if you want more content like this, as well as live teaching calls with our team, hope that you'll check out the Worthy of a Trust Academy. You'll find the link for that in the description. And now let's get back to the video. That person hasn't gotten the best of us. And then unfortunately, when some of us move into real recovery, that person still doesn't get the best of us. It's disheartening whenever that is the case. So I want to talk a little bit about like, what does it mean for someone to get the best of us? For that person, our wives, to get the best of us. I want to talk about what does that mean, and then I want to talk about confronting some areas of our life that compete for the best of us. Okay, I'm going to say it that way because I don't want to be accusatory. Things compete for the best of us. Some of us, nothing has to compete. We just give it to something or someone other than our wives, right? But I don't want to be accusatory. I want us to think of it as things compete for it, all right? So what are we talking about when we talk about the best of us? And this is the way I want you to think about it, is multiple facets of ourselves, okay? What's it mean when we're talking about the best of us, okay? So I'm just going to start detailing these out, all right? Focus and attention. Focus and attention. There are some of us who we can barely have a conversation with our wives without checking our laptop, our watch, our phone, flipping through channels, something. Like, for some of us, it's really hard to give our wives our focus and attention. And our affair partner got all of our focus and attention. In fact, hyper focus and attention. Pornography had your sole attention, so much so that you would lose hours looking at it. You would lose track of time looking at it. You would risk your job to look at it. You would risk making the paper for your addiction. Like, it got the best of you from a focus and attention standpoint, okay? Emotional bandwidth. Here's what I mean by that. There are some of us who we allow things in life, I'll talk about work in a minute, we allow things in life and people in life to take up our emotional bandwidth such that there's only a very narrow channel left for our wives. And here's how that plays out in reality. For some of us, for a lot of us, guilty. When I let everything else chew up my emotional bandwidth such that there's only a little bit left, I only want that little channel to be taken up by something that feels good. I only want that to be taken up by something that makes me feel happy or joyful or hopeful. So if the only bandwidth I have left for my wife is met with her being hurt, angry, triggered, disappointed, dissatisfied, or overwhelmed, then I'm frustrated with her. She's saying, can I not just share with you what's going on? And internally I'm going, no, you can't. because I only got a little bit left to give, and I have some demands on what I expect to get with that little bit of bandwidth. And again, we don't say it that way overtly. A lot of times we wouldn't go home to our wives after a day at work and go, hey, I got this much bandwidth left and it better be good, so hit me. Make me feel good. Make me feel happy. Say something positive about me. We normally wouldn't do that. But yet, functionally, that's the way some of us live. We gave our emotional bandwidth to our affair partner. There's some of us who we had conversations with her or him or whatever your thing is. We had conversations there where we gave emotional stuff to them that really was due for our wives that she's never experienced from us. Right? So emotional bandwidth is an aspect. All right. Time. Oh, I just went to the black marker instead of the blue. That was not intentional. Time. Look, I hear guys in recovery say, "Yeah, there's not enough time, and we got so much going on." Blah blah blah. You found time. You made time in your addiction to act out. You put off meetings, you cancel on people, you put off getting the car tags updated, you canceled a dentist appointment, you found time to act out. You stayed up late, you got up early, came home early, you went soon, whatever, you found time. And me too. I make time to act out. Some of us haven't given the best of our time to our wives in our recovery. And there's a lot of competing priorities, but for some of us, it's not something that we've really given attention to. Okay, let's keep going. Creativity. For some of us, we got really creative to find time to act out, or a way to act out, or a person to act out with, or with the person we were acting out with. You got really creative. You got creative in your excuses. You got creative in your language. You got creative in your behavior. You got creative in order to do this stuff. Sometimes, sadly, I talk to people who, a husband who is more creative in his relationship with his affair partner than he has been with his wife. More creative in the gifts that he gave her. Fill in the blank, right? Who's going to get the best of your creativity? Is it going to be your wife? Oh, let's keep going. Romanticness. That's kind of like dovetails there. I don't know if that's really a word, but that's the word I'm using. Romanticness. Like there's some of us who in our acting out, there was more of the romantic part of us that we engaged than we have in our marriages with our wives. And she hasn't gotten the best of us in that way. And I understand that's different for everybody, right? For some wives, they're like, romance schmomance kind of thing. And some wives are like, I want that. I want the fairy tale thing, right? For a lot of husbands, we just never really thought about, like, is she getting the best of me in that way? Am I actually giving her the best of me in that way? Okay? Trust. There are wives on this call, probably, who would say, the infidelity hurts, the lies and cheating and manipulation, that all hurts. But what hurts the most is you never really trusted me with you. You didn't trust me to be able to handle the pain. You didn't trust me to handle your heart. You didn't trust me to handle your disappointment. You didn't trust me to handle working through all of this. You just made the decision on your own that I couldn't, so you lied. There's some wives who would say, I've never gotten the best of you when it comes to trust. Never really trusted me, right? Similar to that. I'll say kind of like, maybe it's a sub point, I don't know. For some of us, we've never given the best of the benefit of the doubt to our wives. We've never given her, like, you'll give that to your employee, you give that to your boss, you give that to your affair partner, you give that to your kids, but for some of us, we've never given the best of that to our wives. she's always had to prove or make her case or somehow like get enough currency or chips in the machine, somehow get enough tokens to be able to prove that she's worthy of the benefit of the doubt. Right? And sometimes for some of us, that's born out of our own like skepticism, right? That's born out of our own skepticism of ourselves. That's the projection. I'm not trustworthy, so she's not trustworthy. I do stuff that's sketchy, so she does stuff that's sketchy. So sometimes that's born out of projection. But there are wives who would say, anytime you've had a chance to give me the benefit of the doubt and assume positive intent, you've lit me up. You've shot me down. Some other directional language. I don't know. You guys get the point. Benefit of the doubt. Okay, let's keep going. I got a few more. This one's weird. Words. There used to be a thing, it's probably 15, 20 years ago now. There's a thing that was real popular for a while in popular psychology that was like, men have 6,000 words to use and women have 10,000 a day. And I don't believe that personally. I don't believe that. It's also coming from somebody who talks a lot. So maybe I'm the anomaly. I don't know. You get the point. For some of us, I'm going to speak for me on this one. There are days when I will talk to y'all on this webinar and clients and our team, and like I'll talk and then I'll get home and Shelly will ask me questions and I'll respond with noises. I'm not joking. Like, hey, we're going to have tacos for dinner, you good? It sounds juvenile. It kind of is. It sounds ridiculous, but like, some days she doesn't get the best of me with my words. She gets the leftover scraps because I gave them to other people. And I don't ascribe to only have so many words a day thing. What I do ascribe to is sometimes I don't prioritize that the most important person in my life should get my words. It's not quantity. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I only have 3,000, so 2,500 are reserved for her. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like the dignity that I treat her with my words. Sometimes she's the person I'm the most short with. That's screwed up. Okay. Again, I hear wives say this kind of thing. Like, you texted your affair partner every day. Like, what were y'all talking about? How could you be talking that much? You and I don't text every day, so what were you saying? And husbands go, oh, we talked about, I don't know, work, our coworkers, we talked about you some, talked about our family, talked about the lake house. And she's going, well, what could you say about all of that? You only say, when we talk about any of that stuff, we have 3 sentences and the conversation is done. What are you saying to her? And the truth is, we gave the best of our words to her. Or to the presentation, or to the patient, or to the client, or to the fill in the blank. Okay? Words. Let's keep going. Affection. Hey, let's get convicting. Some of us are more affectionate with our pets than we are with our spouse. And listen, I love Pluto. He's our lab. But he should not get more affection than Shelly does from me. Right? Like, some of us are more affectionate with our team members than we are with our wives. Some of us were definitely more affectionate in our infidelity than we are with our wives. Right? Some of us are more affectionate with our kids than we are with our wives. And listen, I'm not talking about like when a wife has boundaries, hey, please don't touch me. Please don't enter into a hug unless you've asked first. Like, I just need some boundaries from physical contact. We want to honor all of that. I'm not saying according to her boundaries. What I'm saying is when it comes to showing affection for someone, she gets the least of us. Okay? And listen, if you're a husband sitting there and you're going, I want to give her my affection, but she won't let me. She has boundaries around all that stuff. I can't show her my affection. Okay, so this is, let's pause there for a second. A lot of times what we go to automatically, I just talked about it with a hug. What we talked about is physical just now. All right. That's where we automatically go, is like to this physical place. A lot of us, me too. I just did. When a wife has boundaries around physical contact and physical interaction, our job is to communicate with words what we want to communicate with our bodies. When a wife has boundaries around that stuff, our job is to communicate our affection with our words instead of our bodies. And so think about that. You come home at the end of the day and you see her, and inside yourself, you're like, man, I just want to give her a hug. Why? What are you trying to communicate? Trying to communicate that I'm happy to see her, that I'm thankful she's still here today, that I'm grateful she's even given this a second chance. I'm actually endeared to her. I think she looks beautiful today. Say that. Don't go hug her, especially if she has those walls up and that boundary, right? Say those things. Let your words communicate what you are going to use your body for. Right? Is she getting your affection? The best of you in your affection. Right? Here's another one. Money. There's some of us who go, and yeah, I mean, she's gotten the best of me with our money. I mean, we live in the house she wants to live in. We got the lake house. I don't know why I'm on lake house today. She's got the lake house she wanted, drives the car she wanted, da, 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 da. Okay, maybe. Or maybe those things were substitutes for the gap that she felt in her heart and the lack of security and attention and affection that she felt in y'all's relationship. And those things kind of filled the void a little bit for a time in a season. I don't know. It's something that we got to think about. Like, am I giving her the best of my money? There are some of us on this call who, the truth is no, our investments get the best of our money. Right? We're more interested in doing things with our money that'll make more money than we are investing them in her. I don't know what that looks like at your house. You can fill in the blank there. Right? So money. Let's do a couple more. Vulnerability. There are some of us, I'm going to talk about this again here in just a second. There are some of us who have become in recovery. We give the best of our vulnerability to our group. We give the best of ourselves in terms of vulnerability to her. You show up to that group and you're the most honest and authentic and vulnerable, and you just crack open your chest cavity and pour out what is going on with you. And by the time you drive home from the church where you meet with those guys, you've just buttoned everything back up. And you walk in the door and she goes, "How's the group?" And you go, "Good. It was good. Some good guys. Learned about Jesus." And like, she doesn't get the most of your vulnerability. And listen, this is another one of those side note things. When it comes to the vulnerability, there are some guys who will go, "But I can't be vulnerable with her. Anything I say to her that is vulnerable, she's likely to have a negative response to, and I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to share my emotions or my thoughts I don't want to share that stuff with her because I'm afraid of how it's going to land. And I mean, I've hurt her so bad, it doesn't seem like anything that I say is really that acceptable." All right, and if that's where you're living, the question isn't who should be more vulnerable. The question isn't, should either of us be vulnerable? All right, the question is, who will go first? And I believe that that's our call. I believe that that's our call to go first. How many times do I go first? I don't know. How many times would Jesus go first on your behalf? I don't know. I think I do know. For some of us, we're just not giving our wives the best of ourselves in terms of vulnerability. All right? And we have to do that. Let's keep going. Two more. Hospitality. Hospitality. You'll be more kind when guests come over to the guest than you will to your wife. You'll be more hospitable, more accommodating around guests, to guests, than you will to her. And listen, can I just say here, you guys, some of y'all hear me say this a lot and you're tired of it. I don't think that's necessarily malicious intent. I think for some of us, that's not a function of like, I'm going to stick it to her and I'm going to be nice to them. I think it's an indicator that we've been orbiting, we've been the center of our own universe, right? We've been the center of our own, we've spent so much time and energy with us being the center of our own universe. I think sometimes that we just lost touch with what it means to have hospitality relative to our wives. Okay. Last one, similar, care and concern. Here again, there are some of us, our kid stumps his toe and we'll like, oh buddy, are you okay? Da, 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 da. You okay? Gosh, you're tough. Okay, are you? Let me help you. What do you need? Can I get you a Band-Aid? And let's get you an ice pack. And our wife stumps her toe and we go, ooh, hope that's not broken. And there's just like the care and concern isn't there. Right? It's not because we don't necessarily care. For some of us, we're just not accustomed to giving her the best of us when it comes to that. You max out on care and concern. I don't know. What does that even look like, right? Vulnerability. How do you max out on vulnerability? I don't really know. Here's what I do know. Every single one of us can sort of scale. We can sort of measure internally, and especially with her help, we can sort of measure where we've been on those. We can have a conversation with our wives and we go, hey, how do you feel like I've been relative to vulnerability? Like, how do you experience that? And then she goes, I don't know. Only you know how vulnerable you're being. Okay, there's some truth to that, right? So then there's some measuring that goes on there. How vulnerable have I been? To the extent now we're in an existential crisis. How vulnerable is vulnerable if I only know myself to be so vulnerable? I don't know how much vulnerable there is. I don't know what I don't know, so don't get lost in that. Don't get lost. Stay in that channel where you go, okay, what I'm learning about vulnerability and what I understand it to be today, like, am I giving you more? Am I giving her more than I used to? And am I giving her as much as I can to the extent that I understand that today? Right? That's the way that I would approach that. I think about like hospitality. I'm a recovering selfish only child. It's so easy for me to walk past. There are going to be guests at our house along with my wife. I will walk right past them into the kitchen and grab chips and a drink. I'll come back with a glass of sweet tea and a thing of chips and be like, how are y'all? And not even think twice about it. Right? So hospitality looks like, I mean, how many times can I just say, I get up from the table, we're out to eat as a family. I get up from the table and I go 3 steps and then I go, anybody need anything? Anybody need to drink refill? All right? Because I'm working on that thing, working on not being selfish on that thing, that hospitality thing. Is it better than it used to be? Yep. Is it maxed out? Probably not, and for sure not. And I don't know how to max that out. All I know is that I can get better at that. And then when it comes to Shelley, I can give her the best that I know I am today on that. I was just talking about this too. Side note, I was just talking about this too with a client the other day. This was a big piece of my story too. There came a point with Shelley where I had to answer the question within myself, not even to her, within myself. I had to answer the question, how is her life better off with me in it than with me out of it? Like, how is her life more than whole? This goes back to restitution. How is her life more than whole? Because she would get whole on her own, right? She would get okay on her own. How is her life better than okay because she's with me? And I had to start to answer that question, not like become a whipping boy and like this, this court jester who had to make sure she's happy. It's not that kind of thing. It's like, it's more of a very sober assessment of like, why is she better with me? What's different in her life for good because she's with me? Right? And that was especially easy. That was an especially easy assessment when we had nothing, right? When we when she made twice as much money as I did. We didn't have anything to our name in terms of assets. We had no kids. We had crappy cars. You know what I mean? Like there was a season where I didn't bring much to the table. So it was an easier assessment then, right? Some of us, we got to ask ourselves that question. And look at this list. Like, is she better off because she has my affection and my attention, and she's getting the best of an emotional bandwidth from a life partner? And is she getting like the creativity that she deserves being my wife? Am I giving her the best of my trust? Am I giving her the benefit of the doubt? Like, is she better off because she's with me? And listen, if the answer in your head roaming around right now is like, actually, I don't think so. The answer isn't, maybe I should think about us not being together. The answer is, okay, God, how do I turn that ship around? How do I turn that ship around? Because when we got together, when God entrusted her to me, he knew that she could get this stuff from you. How do I give her that? Other bias, every one of us, wives included, deal with intimacy aversion. Right? It's not a disorder. I don't believe that it's a psychological diagnosis. Right? It's a part of our human condition. That the almost oldest story in the book is intimacy aversion. Right? And so we're all kind of pushing the boulder uphill on learning to do intimacy well. Right? And so that's our global thesis. At a more immediate and acute level, for some of us as husbands, it's getting really old that we're using that as our excuse now. There are some of us, I'm not pointing out anybody in particular, I'm not even thinking of anybody in particular. There are some of us who we use that as an excuse now. We've been able to finally label it. I know that's what it is. I see it. I can call it. I know. I can get my mind and hands around. Like I know that's what that is now. And now it's enough. It's time. You can't just let labeling it be the end of the story. So there's some of us as husbands who would go, I don't think I give her enough attention. I don't think I give her time. I definitely don't. I'm not as vulnerable as I need to be. And that intimacy aversion thing kicks in. I just want to shut down and avoid and hide. And it's time. That's what it is. And it can't be anymore. It's okay to not be okay. Not okay to stay there. Right? Cliche church stuff. It's time. So a little bit of heart to heart. Some of us can't use that as an excuse anymore. Here's where I go, though. I'm not trying to make this an excuse for anyone. It is harder. It is harder. I mean, when you live that life of intimacy aversion, and that is like your go-to thing. I'm speaking for husbands at the moment. It's really hard. So, it is. And let's work on it. Let's work on it. There are some of us who we're just not even really working on it. Or the only time that we do work on it is when we're forced to face it. We're not working on it outside of that. And so sometimes we just gotta lean in. We gotta decide that this is more important. That my character development in the intimacy aversion space is that important. That she is that important. Like some of us have to make that decision. So is it harder? Yeah, absolutely. And it's also not an excuse. I'm on another soapbox. I've talked to a lot of guys who say this. I said this when I landed in my counselor's office. It's like, man, I'm just not, I don't do emotional stuff well. I'm just not, it doesn't feel like I'm wired that way. It turns out I actually personally am wired that way. But, for a lot of guys, they're not. It's more logistics and head and data and blah, blah, blah. And so it's like, man, that's just really hard for me. I'm just not good at emotional. So some of us are like carrying around that flag. Every time it goes south with our wife, we just go, we start waving the flag. I'm just not good at emotional stuff. Okay, no, you can't just settle for I'm not good at that. if you know you're not good at that, what are you doing to fix that? How are you working on it? Are you doing quadrants, emotional journaling? How are you digging deeper? Get the feelings wheel. Get a feelings wheel pillow. I don't know. Do something so that you can get better at it. You can't just settle it. I'm no good at emotion. Especially if you haven't been with us for a while. Like, emotions are just hard for me. Yeah, they were hard last year and the year before and 47 years ago. And then you can't let it be good like that anymore. You can't just, Okay, not that soapbox. All right, let's talk about a couple of things specifically. See, I'm gonna run out of time. All right, I got a couple of specific things in the crosshairs. Work. Some of you just give the best of you to work. You just do. Like, let's just face it, call it what it is, duck a duck. You just give the best of you to work. Your affair partner is really your company. Your affair partner is really your business or your job or your career. It was some woman or some guy or whatever your thing was, but really, it's this. For some of us, we gave the best of ourselves to our acting out and our business. And now that we're not acting out anymore, we give the leftover bandwidth and kind of like a 80-20 deal. We give 20% of that extra bandwidth now that we're not acting out to our wives, and 80% goes to our work. And some of you, like, you just, this is your priority. Probably some identity stuff in there, right? Wrapped up in that. Who I am is a function of what I do in this position I hold in the company I run and whatever it is. Right? There's probably some identity work in there. Maybe there's some old vows, some scripts from childhood in there about finances and money and poverty or scarcity and that kind of thing. I don't know what all it is, right? But there's some stuff in there. And for some of us, it's like, that's where it is. If faced this afternoon with, close the company or sell the company and save my marriage, you wouldn't. You just wouldn't. There are some of us who would do that way too impulsively. Quit? Okay, I'll quit. No, don't do that. Don't be impulsive, right? The truth is, work gets the best of us. Right? And you got to decide if that's how you want it. You got to decide if that's how you want it. Okay? I would rather apologize to y'all because you didn't get the best of me than I would apologize to Shelley because she didn't get the best of me. I would rather apologize to my kids. Let's go to the next one. I'd rather apologize to my kids because they didn't get the best of me because Shelley got the best of me. Whether they're, yay high or yay high. There's some of us who, our addictions got the best of us, which means our wives didn't and our kids didn't. And now that we're in recovery, we're all in on being the best dad we can be. We're not really giving that same to our wives. All right, let's do another one. Hobbies. I've harped on this one before. Right? Have an intimate conversation or go play. I'm not even going to say the word. Something involves titles in a court. Now that you're no longer acting out, even while you were acting out, but now that you're not acting out anymore, this gets the best of you. It gets your focus and attention. It gets your emotional bandwidth. It gets your time. You get real creative when it comes to that, et cetera, et cetera. Like, for some of us, this is where our heart is, It's kind of like, I don't know why. That it takes the wind out of my sails, man. When I think about these things, none of those are bad. They're all fine. They're good. It takes the wind out of my sails when I think about, like, some of us, we gave more time to our hobbies this week than we did our marriage. Really. I'm not talking about just pure quantity, right? Some of us, we gave more energy to our kids this week than we did to our wives. And it's just sad. So work, kids, and hobbies are kind of like three big ticket ones that it seems like I can get off that soapbox now. Here's the thing. I really want to encourage you, just as husbands, I really want to encourage you to think about it, like to within yourself prayerfully, to look at that list and go, does she? Generally, most of the time, some days you gotta stay late at work. Some days your family's going golfing and you love golfing and you're just gonna be out there for 7 hours on a Sunday, and that it just is what it is, and that's fine. Some days you're doing things with your kids and it's a kids thing, that's fine. Most of the time, just honest self-assessment. Most of the time, am I giving the best of me in these areas to her or something else?